Welcome to your favorite interactive magazine. I am the mother of all civilizations, and I greet you in the most highest orders of the universe, of infinite peace, love, and respect. As you flow through the supreme frequency, I ask you to reciprocate the same energy. Here at Original Thought Magazine, we focus on the best part and make it even greater. We know and understand that if you are not part of the solution, then you are definitely part of the problem. This extraordinary site is the home of the true and living protectors of the truth, where you may freely exchange supreme knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, raising vibrations and activating your first eye to the science of all things in life. By being civilized people, we always strive to manifest true freedom, justice, and equality. We are one and have unified with all original nations of the planet Earth in order to kill the ignorance, evil, and the destruction of melanin by implementing the Almighty God's plan of activating the supreme divinity within you and being the ultimate change that you need to see. You shall now proceed and forward to the greatness. And I would like to thank you for doing the knowledge. Now please enjoy the all-new Original Thought Magazine exclusively at www.originalthoughtmag.com. Peace.
Yes, this is Ivan Ali leaving a podcast show for I See Justice. Today's Supreme Mathematics is Wisdom Born, and one thing that I wanted to build about, which goes according to today's Supreme Mathematics, is the culture of internet, the emerging culture of internet, gods, and earth. I just want to give a little history of, how I got knowledge and when I got knowledge. I got knowledge in 2000. I got knowledge by a guy that, grew up with my uncles. He was a family friend. And at the time I was living in Neptune, but I grew up in Woburn, which is right in New Jersey. And the guy that gave me knowledge of self-history, mathematics, did a lot. And at that time, I was 17 going on 18 years old. And the requirements that he had in order for me to get the knowledge of myself was, of course, not to eat pork, but I didn't grow up eating pork because my family has a strong Muslim background. So we didn't eat pork. He also taught me the knowledge of, what came out the sea that we weren't allowed to eat, the tuna, because it was a large fish, over 150 pounds. We couldn't eat shellfish, shrimp, and crabs and lobsters, anything that will feed off the bottom of the sea that kind of like cleaned up the trash, or kind of what you would think of like a maggot in a garbage can, well, like that shrimp to, or, any crustacean to the sea. We didn't eat scallops, we didn't eat mussels, we didn't eat any of those things. So that was a requirement, not to eat pork, the dietary laws of the seafood. Other than that, it was kind of like, you learn as you go, and you learn what's right and exact for you and what's not. So nowadays, like, you have this culture emerging of God and earth that are like super conscious or super healthy conscious. So it's all a process. It's all a growing and learning process. I mean, you don't become vegan overnight, so, you wouldn't require a student, a potential student, to be on the same healthy level as you, because it's all a process. You know what I'm saying? It's like you don't one day just wake up and say, oh, I'm going to be a vegan, or I'm going to be a vegetarian. No, it's actually a process that you go through, from learning what's right and what's wrong and what's not healthy, and what, as original people, our bodies were made to sustain and consume and not sustain and consume. So one thing that, alarms me to a lot of different things and made me step back and look at, what our culture is emerging into and what we're accepting more and more of nowadays is like this whole internet. And I know that there were internet groups and things going on before Facebook. But now it's like Facebook has reached so many people around the globe. So now that there's more five percenters or guys on Earth all over the world, and Supreme Understanding, he did a bill the other day or status on Facebook, and it was saying that there's 5%ers that don't know any other 5%ers. And I had to scratch my head for a minute, like, wow, that's really on point, because we don't really look at it like that. Because when we see people with names like Allah or Earth on Facebook, we kind of take them on face value to a sense that they have been taught something. Not even that they were taught properly, because we don't know where they were taught or who taught them, but we just kind of assume that they have some sort of knowledge to have that title of Allah or Earth. And I'm like, now I'm learning that there's people with the name Allah or Earth that don't even know the student enrollment. They're not even on the 1 to 10. I mean, hell, I met someone with the name Allah who didn't even have Supreme Alphabets on cap. And the person had got the information. He had got the Supreme Mathematics off of the internet. I think if you go into Bing or you go into Google and you just type in Supreme Mathematics, it comes up. So this information is on there, readily available for anybody who Googles it or tries to find this information. So this is what leads me into calling them internet gods and earth. And I know that might raise an eyebrow for certain people, and they might say, well, you got to utilize all ways of educating people. And I'm all for that, because I have learned a lot of things from Facebook, but if I want to learn the knowledge of myself, I'm not going to look on an internet. And I do know that according to Supreme Understanding's status, that there was a god on there from Switzerland. So, I mean, in his case, yeah, he might have to get lessons from somewhere else or even look on the internet for some things. I'm not saying that that's right and exact, but I'm saying if he's saying that he's the only 5% in his geographical location, then what else do you expect this man to do? It might be hard for him to travel to come to the United States and walk amongst true and living gods and earth. That just might be a reality. But I know that the culture has been taken various countries and various places because of the Wu-Tang Clan, which all praise is due to Papa Wu, a.k.a. Uncle Freedom, you know what I'm saying, for sparking that. And they traveled the globe, and they touched certain places and cities, and they left imprints on people's hearts and minds. People wanted to know what they were saying in their lyrics. So, all praise is due to Allah on that. But at the same time, it's like, what about the people that are here in the United States? What about the people that are here even in the tri-state area? Because I live in Jersey. And I know a lot of people on the internet that I've never seen in person. And I'm like, why do I continuously have these people in my cipher, even if it is on Facebook? And I've never met these people. And to me, it's like a security issue, because I have 2 small children. I don't need you seeing the pictures of my 2 children or their names if I don't even know you. You know what I'm saying? And I've been on Facebook for a couple years now, and there's still people that I know that their status, their Facebook information says they live in New York. And I'm always in New York. So I'm like, I've never seen these people. And then I'll go talk to somebody else who may have had the knowledge from the 80s. And I say, well, have you ever seen this person? Do you know this person? They're like, no, I've never seen this person before. So I'm like, well, who are these people? So again, that goes back to gods and earth in isolation. How can you be a true 5%er if you're not teaching anyone? Because if we live out the lessons, and the knowledge equality in the 1 to 14, in the 1 to 40 says, who is the 5% on the poor part of the planet Earth? They are the poor righteous teachers. We do not believe in the teachers of the 10%, for they are all wise and know who the true and living God is, and they teach that the almighty true and living God is the Son of Man, the supreme being, the black man of Asia. They teach freedom, justice, and equality of all human families of the planet Earth. They are otherwise known as civilized people, also Muslim and Muslim sons. So given that degree, you look at it and you're like, wow, that might be a lot. That's a lot of weight on a person. So when you think about it and you really look at the degrees and you decipher those and you gain understanding of that, then you kind of know, okay, my duty involves much more than just keyboarding some stuff or typing some stuff on the internet and claiming that I'm teaching people. Because, yeah, you can spark things, but can you really examine a person based off their Facebook profile? No, you can't. So you might be casting your jewels amongst swine and not even know it, because you don't know who's behind that keyboard. You don't know who's typing something. So, that was just my thing. Like, I don't like to take on people on Facebook, and I know people will be like, oh, it's just a social network, it's not that serious. But we've all known of things that have went bad over Facebook or whatever, and I've, known of plenty of situations. Some I'm not going to get into because it's none of my business, but, I've known of situations where people have taken things, whether it's on face value or just meeting someone 1 or 2 times and taking them on as a student, and then come to find out this person wasn't living how they claimed that they were living. So we all have to be cautious. So that was just what I wanted to build about, was just like, we have to guide people to the proper foundation. Like, even if you see people building on internet, invite them to come and meet you in a public setting. Invite them to a parliament, a universal parliament, which is every last Sunday of the month. Now they're in Medina, in Fort Greene, for June, July, and August, which June 1 has already passed, but now we have July and August, and July is Children's Day. So if you know somebody that's building on the internet, they say they live in New York, say, hey, here's the train directions, the subway directions to get to Medina. The parliament is in Fort Greene. It's Children's Day. So now you can bring out your children. And now we can, maybe usher you along in the right direction, find someone out there who may be willing to teach you, to give you the proper knowledge of yourself, so that you're not just looking to the internet and saying, wow, all this information is on the internet. What do I need someone to teach me for? Because if you're the type of person like I am, and my mind wanders all the time, and I can't stay focused on something for more than 3 minutes. I'm like a 2-year-old child. Like, my attention span is horrible, but I wouldn't have been able to get knowledge off of an internet. If I didn't have someone to actually physically walk me through this culture, I wouldn't have got this culture, and I wouldn't still be here as long as I am, because it was instilled in my heart that this was who I was, and he showed me how to live right and exact, how to live out the lessons. You can't teach that over an internet. I'm sorry. People will argue with me. People will say, oh, you can't knock how people got knowledge. No. I'm telling you, and everybody that I know around me didn't get knowledge off the internet. They just didn't. I mean, I don't know what culture people are teaching now, but this is just the reality of it. I mean, nobody that I know that are relevant in this culture got knowledge off of an internet. You can argue with me all day if you want, but that's the reality of it, and that's what I'm sticking to. So, we have to just remember, the basics of this culture. Almighty God Allah walked, and I do mean physically walked, the first 9 born through the knowledge of themselves. Then when he met the ones from Medina, he walked them through the culture too. And all of the ones that I know that are still living from the first 9 born and from the first 14 born in Medina, they all tell you that. They all say that. It was no electronics to get this from, so it can't be that hard in this digital day and age to meet up with people and to really teach people. I mean, bring back the 120 classes. Bring back the GCC classes. I mean, if you still want to call them MGT classes, I'm not too gun-ho on that, but I do say it's Master Godz training. It's not Muslim girl training, because we're not Muslims. So I think that we need to just emerge from this, learn from it, and move on, because it's like so many people get caught up in how sound travels. And it sounds good on the internet, but unless you really truly walk with someone who's grounded and fundamentally sound in this culture, you're going to miss the point. So you can't, and people that get it, and they're like, I hear people all the time saying, well, I got it, why should I have to go and teach someone else? And I'm saying to them, well, you might not really be a 5%, or it might not really be in your heart, because the point is that you get it and you give it to someone else, more than just giving it to your children. Because I know a lot of people whose children not even living this way of life, but, they're supreme, magnetic, almighty God Allah in the street. But then when they get home, they're Charlie Wilson, So it's like, hey. So I just don't want us to get so vamped into this culture of the internet. It's like, yes, it's a social network. It's for us to network, It's for us to spark things, shoot things out in the atmosphere. But also we need to make time to meet up with each other, to go over things, because we all have good ideas. But it's not going to work if we don't all network and we don't all manifest these ideas in the physical. Because it's good to sit up on Facebook and say,